The market is trading up today, even though we do have some negative news out from Federal Express. One company that we are going to talk about this morning is Freddie Mac. I'm here with Ben Willis from Albert Fried. So, you know, there is a lot of news about Freddie Mac because they are suing the big banks over this LIBOR scandal, but they have also got a little bit of news that was happening yesterday that didn't get a lot of attention, and that has to do with the regulators. So why don't you fill us in on that?
Well, there was a change of heart by the regulators in the United States that will now allow Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to pay back the U.S. Treasury the money that the Treasury pumped in to keep them afloat. As everybody remembers, in the panic, the worst situation we've seen, a virtual depression in those stocks. So that's a good thing. Oddly enough, it was a surprise to me that all it is really is an accounting change. But because of this change, not only is it benefiting Fannie and Freddie, it's also, today we're hearing stories that General Electric may be allowed to spin off their General Electric Finance division. So there's a lot going on in this arena that had been put aside or controlled by the regulators that I think is very exciting to the recovery of the global market because of Fannie and Freddie. But it was a little bit missed because everybody wanted to talk about the confiscation of private funds from the Cypriots.
So with this change, with Freddie Mac being able to do this, you know, a lot of people are starting to jump back into the stock. It's obviously dirt cheap. But is that real growth? I mean, it just doesn't sound like it's, you know, that it's real organic growth for this company, that it's really more, like you said, an accounting issue.
Well, the risk reward is something that the investor has to weigh out, because the thing that I still see in place is the quasi-government agency that is guaranteed to be backed up. And it was demonstrated when the United States decided to invest in Fannie and Freddie to keep them afloat rather than let them go out of business. So that part of I can't really go to whether somebody should buy or sell an individual stock, but it's certainly an interesting area that most people were afraid to go near. The belief was that they would disappear off the face of the earth, that the government would let them go. This kind of changes the game, and probably you need to reevaluate that position if that's the one you held.
Well, by making this change, does that kind of set the companies up for the government to release them if they make them healthier by giving them this accounting change?
Well, that goes to the whole politics of whether or not our congressmen that can't even get our own budget right want to let Fannie and Freddie go back into the private sector, so to speak, even though they were a quasi-government entity to begin with. The fact of the matter is it's whether that's a political decision, not a business decision, and therefore I wouldn't go near it.
Right. If they can't figure out a budget, how are they going to make a decision on Freddie and Fannie? Right. All right. Well, let's get back to today. We are up. Biggest surprise, huh?
Huge surprise. I think you got to kick off in China, first of all, with some indications that the new ministry is going to ease up some lending on the real estate market, which had been a concern. That helped. Then, of course, the situation with Cyprus and the EU is being viewed as a positive. Oddly enough, I think the situation, as dire it was a positive for U.S. equities. That kept us from going lower because we were a safe haven, and the effect on the dollar and U.S. equities is a safe haven to hold. But you know, the buy the dip mentality is certainly continuing to pay off. There were whispers about selling rallies the other day. It's been a very dangerous trade, and it continues to be that way. Every professional is looking for this market to come in. It hasn't yet.
All right, well, there you go. It apparently has been holding true that people have been buying these dips. That's Ben Willis from Albert Fried, and I'm Debra Borchardt with TheStreet.